breath in a moment, to be here, letting myself be a little shaky, a little, ooh, and that's okay. So if desire is probably one of the main driving forces in our life, then passion is when we turn that dial all the way up. Because life, love, relationships, as we all know, are challenging. And they will continue to be so. It's the very nature of everything, the changeability of everything. And because of that, we need something that is stronger and allows us to have more of that ability to stay when we might really want to just kind of bolt or kind of give up on something. And we need something that, by its very nature, will burn up that which is in the way, and also burn up within us that which no longer serves us. If we really want this intimacy in this life and this absolute engaged, passionate love, then this is where this quality of passion comes in, because it burns us up so that we can be in service and surrender to something greater than us, so we get out of our way, which is probably a good thing. And it means then we're in service and surrender to that which we believe in, that which we ache for, which we yearn for, and that which we love, truly love. But it takes courage to invite passion into our lives, into our bedroom, into our relationship. It takes a certain willingness, not will. Will, again, is very ego, it's very fixed, it's quite unyielding. Willingness is softer, it's more allowing. It's a holier aspect. And that's because passion has spirit within it. Yeah, it's part of the divinity that's available to us. And it also requires of us vulnerability. Not necessarily things that maybe we think about when we immediately bring passion to mind. Vulnerability is the ability to be wounded. Passion is the willingness to suffer for something or someone that we love and desire and want and need. Now, I'm not going to do this, but I'm sure if I put my hand up and said, okay, who's on board? Wounded, ability to be wounded, suffering, yeah? No. Most of us, probably all of us actually, would rather settle for an easy life. Simplicity, we want things to be quite harmonious in our relationships, we want everything just to go well. But life isn't like that. Love isn't like that. Life takes work. Love takes work. Because love isn't this kind of sickly candy floss floaty around thing. It's actually a verb. It's an action. Yeah, love is action. And passion is the fuel that drives us to continue to take action in the name of love. So it's pretty hardcore to call passion into our lives. It's also something incredibly vital because it literally is our creative spirit. It's our fire. Yeah, it's that flame within us. And it is easy to say that we would like passion in all areas of our life. But do we? Maybe we're at a point where we've been burnt too many times. Maybe we just feel like, I'm too old, I'm too tired. Can't be bothered, leave that to the youth, with all that hopefulness. But the thing is, what we can end up doing is turning down the dial, yeah? And we can start to deny this fire in us. We can deny our passion. We can begin to extinguish it. And we can end up kind of living a bit lukewarm and having relationships and having sex that's maybe even going cold and worse, frozen. And what we do when we turn that dial down is we're actually freezing and numbing our emotional, the emotions that run through us. Emotion, energy in motion. And it is this energy that moves through and animates us and desires to be expressed. Yeah, just for ourselves, for life, between each other. And I probably don't have to tell you, maybe you've experienced this, maybe you've been the one who's done this. One of the most painful and brutal ways that we can completely kill or destroy any relationship is we turn that dial down to cold. Because if we are frozen and numb to our own emotions, we can't be in relationship to ourselves first and foremost. We're not able to be in relationship to another. And there's a real sadness in that. And also, I do believe that can end up creating quite a bit of disease physically and mentally and emotionally, spiritually, but particularly soulfully. A life lived without soul. Because passion is a soul quality. It lives within us in that kind of syrupy space within us, and it's in everything around us. It's in that place we call relationship between us. And it has an urgency. That force has an urgency through us. Not an anxiety as a fuel, that fuels my life quite a lot, anxiety, but an urgency. It's smoother, has more of a direct force to it. And it's an ability to bear the volume of life that moves through us, literally to suffer all of that emotion that moves through us. And that's, as we know, is not comfortable to do. So maybe this is why we can be scared of passion. It's the wildness of our soul. It's certainly not tame. It's often not rational. We don't understand it. It's creative force, therefore it's also destructive. So we can be, quite cautious when it comes to passion. But if we are careful, if we treat it with a care, if we invite it into our lives with more of an awareness and a consciousness, which is something that's come up this evening from many of the previous speakers, then maybe we can have a different relationship with passion in our own lives and extend that into the people and the loved ones around us. Because ultimately passion brings us joy. You know that whole thing, follow your passion, that blah, blah, blah. Really, if you just, what do you enjoy? Really, it's that simple. Yeah, follow what you enjoy doing. That's where you find that passion. That brings you into the now. It brings you into the flow. It means you appreciate and savor and taste the beauty of life. It's quite, in a way, quite simple. But first of all, I'm going to give you a few little kind of tips with how to tread with passion. But first, it's really good to ask yourself, and you can let these questions just drop in. Am I really ready to invite passion? Am I really willing? Do I give myself permission? And how much life am I saying and really honestly available to receive, to ask for, to express, to offer? Yeah, and be honest with that. Just allow that to drop in. So the very first thing is we need to, and this has been spoken of previously, we need to be in our bodies. Yeah, we need to be embodied, we need to be grounded. Because this fire needs a container. Yeah, we know what happens if fire hasn't got a container. It runs amok. That's where the destructiveness aspect comes from. So our body acts like this pot, which not only contains the fire, but it also then intensifies the force of that, and we can direct that more intentionally and with greater power. We also need our heart. Yeah, our heart in its softness, in its tenderness, in its devotion, in its ability to be in connection, to sense life, to sense the other, and to feel and respond to the beauty, that force of life. And it's that beauty which causes our heart to tear up, if you like, and our eyes to water. And water is a vital part of having passion in your life, because it's this water that the fire then moves through us. Yeah, it gives it, it kind of sustains it, and it also stops it from immediately burning us to a crisp. Yeah, so water, earth, water, fire, air that we breathe in feeds and nourishes this fire. Spirit, what are we in devotion, prayer to? What are we in service to? And love. Ultimately, allowing all of this to move through us is love. It's living, it's love. It requires of us to be in our truth, yeah, because passion has it's like a very fiery arrow, not always, sometimes it's a bit messy. It's kind of one up from Cupid. Cupid's like the PG version, and passion's got this kind of warrior arrows. And we only need to look at all the Roman and Greek gods. you know, they were like crazy with all their wild passions, weren't they? The ones that we think of as a bit more, you know, envy and lust and greed and revenge and jealousies. And in a way that this shows us that our passions are also, they're human and they're divine. Yeah, they're a reminder that we have all of that within us. It can drive us to have adventures in life. Passion took me on a journey around Argentina with just my tango shoes for 3 months. Desiring to visit every milonga in every single town and city and village, which I did, and had the most wondrous adventures. Also realised I was crap at tango, but that was fine. And it also inspires us, and it can awaken us if our spirit has really dimmed down. You know, we know that, don't we? If we see somebody or hear somebody who is absolutely embodying that passion, it's because spirit recognises spirit. Spirit knows spirit, and it responds. And we only have to look at, you know, like the Sufi dancers or flamenco dancers. Wow, you know, they are filled with that wild passion. And those occasional cries of Amen or Ole, which literally mean there is God in that moment. I see God. You know, that duende, that fire. But passion isn't always this wild, quite violent, out there force. It's also often quiet passion. Because passion is quite a reverent quality. And we might overlook this in another, in our partner, even in ourselves, because our society tends to notice and validate the kind of more noise of, you know, this kind of extraordinariness and busyness and loudness. So the quiet passions can often become invisible and trampled upon, and that's a huge shame. So there's a little rallying cry here, or maybe just a softer whisper for you. So this is for the quiet ones, the shy ones, the sensitive ones. I'm just going to put my hand up for all of these. The sensitive ones, the ones with little to say, because often passion, as truth, is very silent. The ones with no fancy moves, thank God. The ones without show tunes, the ones not needing to prove their passion. This is for the ones who go slow. Yes. The ones who know that to gaze upon a thing, to take time to see its beauty is enough. And the ones whose presence is like the silent, still mountain, weathering every storm, anchored, here, listening, present. Because I don't know about you, but for me, the most passionate quality of them all, the thing that's guaranteed to turn me on, is presence. That beloved, the one that's so intimate that there is no separation. The compassionate witness, the mystery, love. Passion, really, in whatever form it takes, is simply presence. So maybe that's the only thing that we need to do, or at least to start with, is to be present to and with each other. Because it's easy to take each other for granted, isn't it? To take life for granted, to take love for granted. We may live our lives in and out of the bedroom kind of half there. You know, maybe our thoughts are on work, or on family, or on week on Thursday, or last Tuesday, or somebody else. You bring yourself back here. And you give your kind and curious and devoted attention to whomever or whatever is in front of you. And lean in. See what happens. Because we only ever have this moment. Yeah, our heart beats, passing time with every single pulse. So don't waste it living half a life with that dial turned down. Let it burn you up to God. Be passion itself. Thank you.